Chapter 1. The Ring in the Dream. The scent of incense and jasmine filled the air. Itisha found herself walking through a long wooden corridor, its beams old but sturdy, carved in exquisite detail. The walls breathed history, smooth Newari craftsmanship, with floral motifs, delicate lattice windows, and rows of tiny oil lamps casting golden halos across the floor. She was inside a palace. A Durbar, grand, wooden, and timeless. But she didn't remember how she got there. Her bare feet moved silently across the polished floor. She followed the scent of roses and sandalwood until she reached a small chamber. There was softness in this room. Colorful drapes, embroidered cushions, brass mirrors on the walls. It felt like a woman's private space. A royal chamber. Her gaze lifted and froze. On the wall above an old wooden vanity hung a painting of a young woman. She looked just like Itisha. Her breath caught. She stepped closer. The woman's eyes stared back, gentle, proud, almost alive. A quiet voice in her head whispered, "Is this me?" Suddenly the drawer of the vanity began to rattle, a soft wooden clatter. She hesitated, then pulled it open. Inside, lying on a piece of crimson cloth, was a ring. Old, golden, glowing slightly with a deep red gem at its center. The moment she saw it, she felt drawn to it. Her fingers moved on their own. She slid it onto her hand. It fit perfectly. And then, the air shimmered. The walls twisted. The painting seemed to move. The room shook with an invisible force. Her chest tightened, and just as everything turned to light, Itisha woke up. She sat up in bed, gasping. Sweat clung to her forehead. Her room was quiet. Morning light streamed through the curtains of her modern home in her hometown, far from any palace. Her younger sister, Iksha, was curled up on the other side of the room, still fast asleep. Itisha blinked. It had felt so real. She rubbed her hands over her face, but stopped. The ring was still on her finger. She stared at it in disbelief. It came from the dream, she whispered to herself. But before she could make sense of it, her mother called out from the kitchen. Breakfast. A regular day had begun, but nothing would be regular again. Later that week, news came quickly. Itisha's father, a senior engineer, had been transferred to Gorkha to work on the renovation of an old historical site near the ancient palace. "It's a good project," he said over dinner, "and a rare one. We'll be living in a house not far from the old palace." Gorkha. The name made something inside Itisha stir. She looked down at the ring again. The dream. The palace. That painting. Was it all connected? Arrival in Gorkha. The family moved into a quiet, stone-walled house near the Gorkha Durbar, surrounded by misty hills and ancient energy. The house was beautiful in its own way, old, echoing history with every creak of its wooden floors. But nothing caught Itisha's attention more than the palace above, perched like a crown on the hill, watching over the town. The moment she arrived, she felt it, a strange feeling, like she had returned home. And then came Devna. "This is Devna," her mother said casually at dinner one night. "She's joining us as a housekeeper to help with the transition here." Devna bowed politely. She wore old-fashioned robes, her hair tied neatly, her eyes sharp, but warm. There was something about her that didn't fit. She looked at Itisha as if she'd known her for years. That night, Devna moved into the shared room with Itisha and Iksha. Her presence made the room feel different. "You've been dreaming, haven't you?" Devna whispered, after Iksha had fallen asleep. Itisha looked at her sharply. "How do you know?" Devna smiled softly. "Because dreams are the beginning of return. And you, Itisha, have already started to remember."